Hey guys, it's Katie, and I'm here today to play the book Bachelor game. Ashley from Ashley Knuckles created this game a while back, and I've been planning to do it for a long time. If you don't remember, I did a poll a couple of months ago asking you which video you wanted me to do first, and you all voted for me to do the love triangle game, and so I did. And so I figured, I also really wanted to do this one, so I figured that I would do this one as well. So basically, the premise of this game is you put a bunch of books in a box. Instead of characters, it's book-based. And you pull out two of them, and then you decide which one you want to give your rose to. So it's very heavily based on The Bachelor, which is something that I've never watched. It was just something I never was really interested in. But the premise is when you give someone your rose, that's the person who's going to move on, who you're interested to get to know, or you had a really good date with. And the ultimate thing is that once you get down to it, you find true love, whatever. But I think the way that this game actually works is you just pick out two names and then choose who moves on, and that's it. So what I've done is I picked my top 10 books of this year that I've read so far, which, were all, books that I read from January to early May. And I put them in this box, and I'm going to pick them out and see how this goes. So a lot of these books are probably books you've never really heard me talk about except for in wrap-ups and things. So hopefully it's a little bit more interesting for you guys. So first, I'm going to give it a little shake up. And let's begin. 1 and 2. The first one I have is Winter of the Witch by Catherine Arden. And then the second book I have is The Battle of the Labyrinth by Rick Riordan. I loved both of these books a lot for very, very different reasons, but I'm probably going to give my rose to The Winter of the Witch by Catherine Arden. It was just such a captivating read. It was so well done, and it was the best conclusion of a trilogy I've read in a long time. But I really did like The Battle of the Labyrinth. I loved getting to see the Icarus and Daedalus myth interwoven into the novel, and just getting to see Percy and Annabeth and Grover go through this quest through the maze. I thought it was really, really well done. But that being said, it wasn't the best thing I've ever read, whereas Winter of the Witch was so unique and just so well done that I'm going to give my rose to Winter of the Witch. So the second one, I've got 1 and I've got 2. Let's see, who do we have this time? First one we have is The Land of Silver Apples by Nancy Farmer, and then the next one is Dragon Rider by Cornelia Funke. This is an interesting combo once again because these are both middle grade and I read them in really close succession. This is actually a really tough decision for me to make because they both had really, really great qualities to them, but they also both had things that I wasn't a huge fan of in them as well. Dragon Rider I really enjoyed because it was a really unique take on dragon lore. I really enjoyed the overall story and all of the shenanigans the characters got up to. Most of the characters were interesting. I loved that we got an explicitly morally gray character. And I don't know, I just really, really enjoyed Dragon Rider. But The Land of Silver Apples was also really great. We don't see a lot of Norse mythology interwoven into fantasy, so I loved getting that aspect. The plot of this one was a little bit on the downside. The characters were also a little bit more frustrating in this one in some respects. But the world building was so well done in both of these, honestly. But I really like the world building in this one as well. I don't know. I'm having a really tough time deciding between these two. I love this trilogy a whole lot. I haven't read the third book in it yet. And as far as I know, I think this one might have a sequel that literally just came out. And I haven't heard anything about it. But I really liked this book overall. I don't know. I'm so torn on this. I say Dragon Rider because dragon lore is just super interesting to me and I just loved the unique take on it. But honestly, it's a really, really close call for me on these. And I'm not fully satisfied with my overall answer. Honestly, I'd pick both if I could. But I think ultimately I'm going to pick Dragon Rider. So I got 1 and 2. The first one is The Tears of the Salamander, which this won't be, that'll be hard to beat. And the next one is Nevermore. Honestly, this one isn't too terribly difficult for me, and I'm picking The Tears of the Salamander by Peter Dickinson. Nevermore by Jessica Townsend was really interesting and really cute and overall really well done. But I think the hype just built it up too much, and so I went with a bit too high of expectations. I enjoyed the novel, but it wasn't my favorite thing that I've ever read. The world building is really where it shone for me, and I also really liked the side characters. Morgan was okay. The plot had a lot of like convenient plot holes and things that just really bothered me, and there were certain parts of it that just weren't as original as people were saying it was. So it didn't captivate me as much as the Tears of the Salamander. The Tears of the Salamander was so good. It was the first book that I read in like 2 months after this like 2-month period that I was struggling with reading and everything that I really, really enjoyed. And honestly, this was just one of the most unique stories I've read in a long time. Plus, within the book, it had its own kind of built-in soundtrack, and they're actually legit songs and real things that you can go look up, and it kind of enhances your reading experience that way. Plus, just the magic system was so unique because it was all done through music. And the words and the notes both had important aspects to the magic system. It was just so well done and so captivating, and I just loved everything about it. So I'm definitely gonna pick The Tears of the Salamander for this one. 1, 2, okay, great. The first one I've got is The Summer of Katya by Trevanyon, and the second book I have is Circe by Madeline Miller. Ooh, that's also a really tough pairing. What am I doing here? I really, really liked The Summer of Katya. Everything about it except for the ending. The ending was not good. I loved how philosophical it was and how we really just got this in-depth character study aspect to it in many different ways. I really wasn't into the romantic aspect of it. It was just kind of irritating because it felt kind of insta-lovey to me. And just kind of the main character's obsession with Katya, like it was just kind of unhealthy, but also just getting to delve into that psychology of it all and the character study. I mean, it's a psychological thriller. I just really, really enjoyed that aspect, and also just getting to see the interactions between all of the characters was just absolutely fascinating. Circe, on the other hand, is a mythological retelling of Circe, who is a character from Homer's Odyssey. And I really, really liked this. The writing and the character study of Circe herself were just exquisitely done. And the world building, ancient Greek setting, I just really liked that. I mean, just everything about this book was super, super good. So honestly, while I loved The Summer of Katya for so many reasons, I'm ultimately going to pick Circe because I just loved it so much more. And then the last two I have are The Sea Ain't Mine Alone by C.L. Beaumont, and the second one is Hook by K.G. something. I always forget the name of this author. And I'm picking, to maybe the surprise of no one, but maybe to the surprise of everybody, The Sea Ain't Mine Alone by C.L. Beaumont. I really enjoyed Hook in a lot of ways. I really loved the characterization of the character of Hook and just his relationship with people, and kind of ultimately caused him to become the way he did. I thought it was a really great character study. It didn't grab me right away from the beginning, but once I hit a certain point, it was just really smooth sailing and really, really interesting. And I just, as I said, I really liked the aspect of it, but there were certain aspects of this book that I didn't love. Like, I did not love the characterization of Peter. It really, really bothered me, actually. But I ultimately did enjoy it to quite an extent. However, and these are both different books. The Sea Ain't Mine Alone is a historical romance novel that takes place during the 1970s in California, and it follows two surfers on their journey of lots of things. One of our characters is a war veteran, a Vietnam War veteran, I believe, and he just uses surfing as kind of a way to let off steam and, you know, just kind of make himself feel alive again after everything he experienced. And then our other character is the champion. He is the surfer to beat. And these two meet, they hate each other, and ultimately you get to see their relationship and friendship evolve. It's a male-male romance, and it is so well written. It's one of those books that just fully transports you to the setting that it takes place in, and you just become a part of the story. It's like you're in a pensive, you know, you're experiencing it by being there, even though you yourself are not part of it. It's just so good. And the sex scenes were really well written. They did not feel forced or like squicky and garbage like. They were really, really well done. And just the overall story and the emotions that the characters went through and just everything that they were dealing with because of the time period that it took place in and all of the other stigma surrounding, you know, their personalities and the way that they are perceived by others. It's just really, really well done. I'm tempted now to kind of go through all of these and just kind of see if I can pick a favorite out of all of them just for kicks and giggles. I do, because I had such a hard time deciding between The Land of Silver Apples and Dragon Rider, is I'm gonna leave all of the ones that I nixed except for The Land of Silver Apples out, so I have an even number, and I'm gonna put those 6 back into the box, and then I'm gonna do a second round just because I want to. So let's see how this goes. Let me refold all of these first and see if I can do this one. Now I'm doing round 2, so let's shake them up nice and good so that we don't have a problem. And let's jump right in. So I've got 1 and 2. So I've got The Sea Ain't Mine Alone by C.L. Beaumont. And I've got Circe. Oh man, that's a tough one. I don't know, they're so different, but they're both so good. I've already explained what both of these are about, so it's just gonna be me kind of like going through and deciding. These both take place by the sea too, and deal with a lot of sea things, and I don't know which to pick. I really loved The Sea Ain't Mine Alone, like a whole ton. But Circe just really takes me back to my roots. So I think I'm going to pick Circe. For a whole bunch of reasons. Like, it's literally part of my brand. Like, I love ancient things so much, and the Odyssey is kind of one of the things that really kicked that off for me. And I mean, while I love a good romance story and I love a good historical romance novel, because I like my romance novels to be kind of intergenre based. It's not just pure romance, but like it also has other things going for it. So I mean, I really enjoyed this, but ultimately I'm gonna pick Circe because it just encompasses so much of my life and so many important things to me. Got 1, I got 2. Okay, so the first one I have is The Land of Silver Apples, and the second one we have is The Winter of the Witch. Definitely gonna be The Winter of the Witch. It's just so unique and so well done. The characters are so just fascinating and interesting, and I just love a good historical fantasy. We don't see a ton of it. I just loved seeing the character growth and more world expansion and just everything come to a head. It was just so phenomenally done. So definitely picking The Winter of the Witch. Land of Silver Apples, you've already heard my thoughts on it. I really, really enjoyed it, and I really liked it because it's so different and unique, because it's Norse-based, but ultimately there were some things that I had issues with, and so that one's going away. And then the last two are The Tears of the Salamander and Dragon Rider. That's an interesting combo, once again, because they both had really, really unique aspects to it. Ultimately, I'm probably going to pick The Tears of the Salamander because it was so immersive and just so fascinating to me and just so interesting. I love Dragon Rider because I really liked getting to see, as I said, the different dragon lore, and I just really liked how it was written. But ultimately, The Tears of the Salamander wins out. So now I'm going to do another round. I'm ultimately going to try and get down to the last like two and then pick between them. So I've got these four here. So I picked The Sea Ain't Mine Alone again to put back in because that one is one I really, really enjoy. So the first one I have is The Tears of the Salamander, and then the next one I have is Circe. Oh wow, wow, wow. That's really tough. Ultimately, I think I'm probably going to pick The Tears of the Salamander, which might surprise some people, but I just loved getting that immersive experience and seeing just such a unique story, one that I had never seen the likes of really before. I mean, there were certain aspects of it that I've seen a lot, but there were some things about it that I just didn't see a ton of. I mean, Circe, I loved so much. I really enjoyed this character study. The writing was phenomenal. But there's just something about The Tears of the Salamander that's just making me squeak out. I mean, both of these are so core to me and my brand and my likes and dislikes of stuff. Because I mean, this really stems back to my love of classics and history and mythology and things. But this really caters to my love of like fantasy and music and also history. I don't know, I'm just really feeling this one at this moment in time, despite the fact that I love Circe a lot. And I'm quite frankly surprised that I'm picking this over that, but also at the same time, I'm not, I don't know, it was a tough decision, honestly. And then the next two are The Sea Ain't Mine Alone by C.L. Beaumont and The Winter of the Witch by Catherine Arden. This is also a really tough decision, but ultimately I think I'm going to pick The Winter of the Witch once again because of all of the 500 reasons I said before. Just this trilogy really captivated me and really, really held my interest. And despite me really loving this historical romance story between these two surfers, like, I have to go with The Winter of the Witch. There was just something about it that really, really spoke to me and was really, really great. Now we're down to the last and final round. Let's see if I can pick who my ultimate true love from this year was so far. And they're between The Tears of the Salamander and The Winter of the Witch. And honestly, this is a really, really difficult decision. I have no idea who I would pick out of these two. It's really tough because I literally loved everything about The Winter of the Witch. It just was such a well done story. I was emotionally invested. I was in love with how the characters grew. I was in love with the more world building that we got and certain other aspects that I'm not going to talk about because they're spoilery, but I just loved the conclusion to this trilogy. It was so well done. And it's just, the Tears of the Salamander was just so unique, though. Like, I loved that instead of a dragon, it was a salamander, and that these salamanders had their tears had magical powers to them, and the use of music was just so well done, and just, I don't know. I'm probably going to say The Winter of the Witch because I felt like we got, more, if you know what I mean. Like, we got to expand on things more. I mean, this is like a 200-page book. this is closer to 400 pages, and we got to explore things a little bit more in more depth. And I mean, while this is a middle grade, for a middle grade, it was explained really well. So I'm just having a hard time, okay? But I'm probably going to say The Winter of the Witch is ultimately going to be the one that wins out. At this point of the year, based on the things that I've read up to this point, which, you know, I've read other things that I just didn't include because of reasons. I'm pre-filming this way before anything else. And these are the books that I know I really enjoyed. It's a story. It's fine. But up to this point, when I'm filming and whatnot, I also just haven't done any reading in the last several months since I filmed this because of the bar. But ultimately, this is the book that is my favorite of the books that I mentioned at this point. So The Winter of the Witch reigns supreme for me. And if you haven't read that trilogy, what are you doing with your life? Go give it a try, and I'll be curious to hear your thoughts on it. It's really, really interesting, and I really enjoyed it. But anyway, I'm curious to hear your thoughts, if you would have chosen differently, or if you haven't read these books, if you're planning on reading them, or even if you have read them. I'd love to hear your thoughts on them down below. And I'm not going to tag anyone, but if you are interested in doing a thing like this and you just want to do it yourself, just say I tagged you. It's just so much fun. And as I said before, I feel like we need more games like this because we don't have very many of them. And there's some that I really, really enjoy. But anyway, that's, I guess, about all I've got for you guys today. So as always, you know the drill. I have both of my social media links down below in the description. I have a Twitter, which is @ASeaOfTomes, which is the same as my handle here. So feel free to come talk to me over there about anything. And yeah. And then I also have a Goodreads, which is also linked down below. And you can go over there and follow me and check out what I've been reading and check out my progress and see my superficial thoughts on all of the things I've been reading before I come over here and scream at you about them. But other than that, I'll catch you later in another video soon. Bye!